Hi, I'm Eduarda, and I'm here to share with you my experience inside Love Addicts, which is an online therapeutical program specifically designed for people like me who live with anxious, insecure attachment. A little disclaimer: Love Addicts is not sponsoring these videos, and I'm only here to share my experience and not the contents of the program. I do hope that my journey can help someone else out there. Let's go. Okay, so during my second week, I was still quite sad about my breakup, but I was also very confused still. So I kept on ruminating, and I would go from feeling very responsible and guilty to then blaming the other person for everything. Like my mind couldn't find a common ground of, okay, this is where I could have done better. This is where maybe they could have done better. And things are what they are. What can I do in my present moment? Like, what do I want to do with the situation? No, it was like I went from um, feeling like I had really messed up and really made horrible mistakes, and that everything was my fault, and that this person had every right to have broken up with me because I really hadn't been a good partner. I hadn't been a good person in that relationship. And I even had a fear like, oh my God, I'm never going to be okay. Like, I'm never going to be someone who is good enough for this person, and I'm never going to be someone who's good enough to be in a happy relationship. So those things would hit me really hard. I would have memories of the relationship, of moments when I did something and got a really bad reaction, or when this person that I dated had criticized me, and I would really believe that criticism at this point. It would hit me really hard in my chest and in my stomach. I was feeling all the turmoil of this post breakup ruminations in my body. So I would get headaches. I would feel tightness in my chest, in my stomach, and I didn't really want to eat very much at this point because I couldn't, at this point, like, I didn't get much pleasure from eating. And because I felt so sick to my stomach all the time, when I did eat, it just didn't feel good in my body. I still ate because obviously we have to in order to live. But like, it was a difficult time. So I was sleeping a lot still, crying a lot still, just wanting to be alone because all of these emotions and thoughts felt so heavy that at least if I was alone, I didn't have to pretend that I wasn't feeling those things. And I felt like whenever I was with someone else, I had to pretend like I was okay, like I was just going about my day, when I had all this horrible pain and weight on me. And every once in a while, I would then blame my ex for everything. And I would feel like I had been so foolish to let them do the things that they did to me. And I would then feel very angry at them, and that anger was also so heavy to carry. But how fast I went from blaming myself to blaming them, and then myself and them, um sometimes, like, it was just a difference of like a few hours. So it was very heavy, very painful, and very confusing. Hence all the sleeping and all the crying and all the time alone. um and at this point, so, beginning of week two, that's how I entered. That was my state of mind when I entered week two. And then I started the Love Addicts courses. So, before I tell you how they began to help me, let me show you what they look like. Okay, so This is inside the Love Addicts platform. And this was the first course that I completed. And if you look at the modules, this is actually called Intro to Anxious Attachment, or actually, sorry, Anxious Attachment Intro. And if you look at the modules, what is anxious attachment, origins of anxious attachment, protest behaviors, how to heal anxious attachment. So this was where I took my first steps into understanding anxious attachment. So if you remember from my video of week 1, one of the needs that I had identified at that point was I wanted to understand anxious attachment a lot better. And this first course really gave me all the information that I needed to begin identifying patterns in me and understanding my situation, understanding my present breakup, understanding even past relationships and why they had triggered me. And this began to give me hope, which then also helped me start to feel better, which was the want that I had identified in week 1. It was like, I just want to feel better. Like, I just want some of this weight to come off of me. So, going through this course was the first step in meeting that want and meeting that need. Now, I'm just going to show you really quick if I can. Maybe fast forward. Let's see if my computer will load. Because this course specifically is taught by Newer, who's the founder of the platform. And I really enjoy how involved he is, even though he has coaches and therapists and psychologists running the platform with him. He's still very involved. And I think that is one of the things that make this therapeutical program so special. I don't remember if I mentioned this in my other video, but Newer and the therapists and psychologists all identify with living with anxious attachment themselves, and they have gone through a healing journey. So they're not just professionals of mental health, but they have gone through the journey of healing anxious attachment, and they know. I feel like when I talk to them, they know my pain because they have been there. Okay, great. So this began helping me a lot. Uh, and as you can see here, this first course, Anxious Attachment Intro, is part of the free access of the platform. I don't know how you get to this. I think it's through taking the Anxious Attachment quiz on their main webpage, and then you will get your results and a link to access this free area of the platform. But I'm not sure, so I will check and I'll do a video on this in case anyone is interested. They have the Start Here section, which has Hannah talking about how to begin your journey in healing. This is a recorded workshop between Hannah and Elisa. It's quite long. I think it's over an hour, and it has a lot of good information. And then again, the course. Um, Check-in is something I haven't explored yet, but it's something you do once you're within the platform, and it gives you credit, which means that I think you get like some benefits within the platform once you do a daily check-in, which is just not something that I have done yet. And I don't quite understand how this works yet, but I will find out and also give more information on this just in case anyone is going to take advantage of the free access here. Daily Bites is something that I absolutely love, and I believe you have access to a lot of the videos for free here. They're just very short videos, usually like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, five at the most, and they just give you good advice on what you can do to regulate your emotions, to feel better, to understand yourself, to be good to yourself and loving to yourself. And it's all like really simple to apply things. So I really love coming in here once a day and just seeing what else they have posted. You can see that here, this was only posted 15 hours ago, so that you always have new content. This was posted a day ago, and it's all about things that you can do to help you heal. And this is available for free, as far as I understand. So why not take advantage of all of this good material? Like things like this for me are so useful, like caring for our frustrated energies. So many times I have felt frustrated, and so many more times I have even identified like frustration in therapy. But then I usually leave therapy without my question answered on, okay, I'm here to identify emotions and patterns, but once I identify them, what do I do with them? And you can see that the advice given inside Love Addicts is not just identifying, it's what to do. Action is so important. So, caring for. How do you care for frustrated energies? Well, you can come here and watch this and find out. I usually find that the advice given in the daily bites is very on point, and um, I can apply within, like, I can just take a few minutes in my day and apply them right away. So this is not something that like disrupts my day in any way. It just kind of gives me good insight. It gives me action that I can take right on the spot, and then I can carry on with my day. And maybe all that I've given to this was like 5, 10 minutes. And it sets me up for like a really good day. I believe this is sneak peek. Yeah, so this seems to be more videos, and they just give you, I guess, an insight on more of the material that you will find inside the platform. And then you have a link to join here. So I actually want to show you the full course list just so you can see that there are a lot of courses. So this is now outside of the free area. And you can see how Anxious Attachment Intro is here in week 1. So I love this because they actually give you a roadmap of which courses you would ideally be watching when. So I was actually watching this in my week 2, but I really like how this is organized and how it helps me not really like stay on track, because I don't think there is a staying on track for things like this. I think you need to take your time. But it has helped me measure my own speed in how long it takes me to assimilate things. Um, so, and it gives you a roadmap, just in the sense that like, even if maybe you are like in week 6, but you're still taking the courses from week 2 or 4, it kind of gives you something to look forward to, and it gives you a bit of a push, because you I realized that like, if I don't have anything like holding me to a standard, I will drag my healing along. Like, I will not move on from things, and not necessarily because I'm not ready, but just because I'm being a perfectionist. So this list, and the fact that they have like this expectation of what you should be doing on what week of the course, and again, remembering that Love Addicts is a 3-month long program, so this also helps you stay on track, so you finish within the 3 months. And they have like more advice here. But I hadn't realized that I was dragging my healing along just yet in week 2. So, week 2 is when I started the courses, and I stayed in these 3 courses for a long time. So, you saw Anxious Attachment Intro, and it had a few lessons inside. But once you go into Value Toolkit and Feeling Secure, they have modules, and then each module has several lessons. So, There is all the content is very bite sized, so you can digest it quite easily. However, it is a good amount of material, and the information is so precious. So, what I ended up doing in week 2 was just listening to each of these 3 courses and all the lessons and modules inside several times. And the reason why I did that at this point was not just because I really wanted to take in each little piece of information because it felt so precious, but because this courses and listening to this information was very soothing. So if you remember, I was feeling very heavy. I was in a lot of pain. I was in this roller coaster going from guilt to blame to guilt to blame, and just crying and needing to sleep because of how overwhelming everything was. But then once I got into this, instead of crying and sleeping, I started listening to this content, and I realized that I felt a lot better when I did. And so I began listening to them just a few minutes in the morning to kind of set me on a good mood. And then I was going to bed and taking my iPad with me. And I was going to bed early actually to give myself like a good hour that I could go through these videos and listen to them. And then I started falling asleep to them. That's how soothing this was for me. But then because I wasn't taking notes, I felt like I hadn't assimilated the content completely. So I kept listening to them again and again. And in week 3, I began taking notes, but I will tell you about that later. So my week 2 in Love Addicts was just about meeting my primary want and my primary need to feel better and to understand anxious attachment. The program definitely helped get me out of the crisis that I was in, even though it didn't feel like I was getting out of it at that point. But just the fact that I had stopped sleeping so much and crying so much and feeling so desperate and feeling so confused, the fact that I was able, like by the end of week 2, to leave that aside and to just be still and let myself be comforted by the content in those videos was already a really big thing, because it also meant that I started getting out of like that rut of the end of a relationship. And because I knew I had those videos there and I could just like watch them whenever I needed, it meant that I was able to start focusing on things that I had to do better. So I was um, in a course and I was able to concentrate better on the classes and the course content, and on my studying, because I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but as soon as I feel overwhelmed, I know that I can just jump into the platform and watch a video. Or, okay, this is hard, but I'm going to focus now because the sooner I finish this task for my course, the sooner I can go to bed and just lie there and listen to those soothing words. So, starting the courses was the first way that I began regulating my emotions. Eventually, I learned through Love Addicts how to regulate my emotions without the need of any external tools. And I'll get to that eventually. But this was like a survival kit. It was like first aid coming to me. So I could just like survive long enough to start doing things a little bit different. I absolutely loved falling asleep to these videos. It was like someone giving me a cuddle as I was falling asleep. And I actually began sleeping a little bit better because I was falling asleep listening to the soothing words. Okay, next video will be all about week 3, and I hope to see you there.